They understand what that
But,
means.
Mr. President, what did the other leaders tell you? Because it seemed to be, this is unlike the first Trump term. There was great unity that was there, and we saw their public comments. But when you got them in the Oval Office, we have this photo of you sitting at the Resolute desk, and all of these world leaders are sitting in front of you. What did they say to you privately? Because it looks like they're on the same page as you, sir.
Yeah, they are. They're very good people. They're very good leaders of their countries, and they want to get back to leading their country. You know, they're consumed far more with this than we are because they're right there. You know, we have an ocean that's separating us, right? Thing called an ocean, a big, beautiful ocean. And they don't. You know, they're right there. So they have to, you know, that's a different kind of a thing for them. When it comes to security, they're willing to put people on the ground. We're willing to help them with things, especially probably if you could talk about by air, because nobody has the kind of stuff we have. Really, they don't have. But I don't think it's going to be a problem. I think if a deal is made, you know, famous last words, right? But I think if a deal is made, I think Russia's had it. They've all had it. And for a very extended period of time, I don't think there'll be a problem. But there'll be some form of security. It can't be NATO because that's just not something that would ever happen. They couldn't do that. So who would want that? I mean, if you were Russia, who would want to have your enemy, your opponent, sitting on your line? You don't do that. So it was always thought that Ukraine was sort of a buffer between Russia and the rest of Europe. And it was a big, wide buffer. Everything worked out well until Biden got involved. You know, when Biden gave them $100 billion right up front, I don't give them anything. You know, I don't know if you know it, but since I've been there, we don't pay. First of all, I made a deal to take rare earth. That's the equivalent of much more than the $350 billion that Biden got away, because I felt so foolish. It was so stupid what he did. And I was able to make a deal with Ukraine, and they were very nice. They have great rare earth, among the best in the world. And we took much more than the $350 billion, and they were great about it. So we got that, handled. But now we don't pay any money to Ukraine. They buy through NATO, because I got NATO to go from 2% to 5%, 2% when they didn't pay, 2% of GDP, 2% when they didn't pay, and 5% now they do pay. So it's trillions of dollars. So what we do is we make the equipment, the military equipment, and sell it at a full price. We sell it to the NATO. We sell it to NATO, and NATO pays us immediately. And that's the way it's working. And then NATO takes it and does what they want with it, because they really have the right to do what they want with it. But for the most part, they give it to Ukraine.
So, President Trump,